Today I'm very excited to welcome one of the most dynamic scorers to ever play the game. Bernie Nicholls is joining me on Enjoy the Grind with Jace Boman. I have the privilege to interview this legend that played 18 seasons in the NHL with Los Angeles Kings, New York Rangers, Edmonton Oilers, New Jersey Devils, Chicago Blackhawks, and San Jose Sharks. In 1,127 games, Bernie collected 475 goals and 734 assists for a whopping total of 1,209 points. Man oh man, Bernie, those are some crazy numbers. Welcome to Enjoy the Grind. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said thanks for inviting me, bud. I'm excited to be here with you tonight.
Same here. So let's dive right into the questions. The 1980 draft was held in the old Montreal Forum. You were drafted 73rd overall to the Los Angeles Kings. Did you travel to Montreal or where were you when your name was called?
But I was at home. We didn't really go to the draft back then. I came home. I was driving home. My mom came running out. One of the scouts from the Los Angeles Kings told her that I was just drafted by the Los Angeles Kings. So obviously you were excited. So that's where I was. I wasn't even there, but when you get the call to get drafted in NHL, you're pretty excited.
Did you have any talks with the Kings prior to getting selected?
I did not. I'm a small-town Canadian boy. You're used to watching the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens. I never knew LA had a team back then, way out in the West Coast. So I was really excited when I knew where I was going. I went from a little town of 200 to a town of 10 million. So I was a little overwhelmed.
So you didn't even have to play an entire season in the AHL before being called up and sticking with the big club. During your rookie season in the NHL, you scored a hat trick in 3 straight games at home. Man, that is amazing. What was your rookie season like in the NHL?
It was exciting. I was in the minors. My mom and dad drove all the way down to watch me play on the weekend, and they just got there and I got called up. So they were obviously disappointed they didn't get to see me, but I think they were excited that I got to go play. And so when I got the call to go up, obviously you're really excited that you're going to go play for the big league. And it didn't take long. Like you said, I had nine games and then I scored, and then I went 3 hat tricks in a row at home. So I think they found out pretty quick that maybe I was going to be able to score some goals in this league too.
So what was it like playing behind Hall of Fame center Marcel Dionne?
It was a lot of fun. I got to, when I first got there, when I get drafted, you always look to see who's the main guy there, right? Because if you're a centerman, you want to know who you got to beat out for a job. And other than Marsh, they really didn't have too many great players there at center. So I was fortunate to be able to watch him play. I think if you look up his stats, I think he may have had 700 goals or something in the NHL. So he knew what to do with the puck, and to be able to watch him play every night was, it was great for me learning how to do it right. So I had a good role model.
Brian Troche was your favorite player growing up. What were you feeling when you got to face off against him?
You know what's real funny is the first time I played against them, I was just like a little kid. After our morning skate, I took my hockey stick to their dressing room and I got all their players to sign my stick for me, just like you would do going into the dressing room. Other than that, but it was a player that was going to play against them that night. And in the dressing room, they're wondering, who the hell is this guy? And little did they know that I was going to play against them that night. So it was exciting. I got to know Brian pretty well, and if you check out what he's done, I think he's won 7 Stanley Cups, and he's won every award there is. So he was a pretty good guy to want to be a role model for me.
Was there any veterans that took you under their wing?
You know what? Charlie Simmer was really good. Dave Taylor, Mike Murphy was my captain at the time. So I think it's so important for the older guys to try to look after the young guys, and I had a good group looking after me.
So early in your career, you were selected to represent Canada at the World Championships with players like Mario Lemieux, Yzerman, Ron Francis, Kirk Muller, Scott Stevens, just to name a few. What was it like wearing that Canadian jersey?
I think I always tell people, as a Canadian, you always want to play for a Canadian team, and I was very fortunate. I got to play a couple years in Edmonton, but to play for your country, I got to do that. Like you said, I played with Mario Lemieux, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. Stevie Yzerman was my roommate, so I got to know Stevie real well. So we did really well. We ended up getting a silver medal. We represented our country very well, but just to play for your country was a lot of fun.
I'd love to put on a Canadian jersey someday. That must have been an honor.
Yeah, that was a big thrill. Just to get the call to go play, and then to represent your country, it was a lot of fun.
So back to LA, December 1st, 1988. Does that ring a bell?
December 1st?
Yep.
Did I score my 50th goal?
Nope. You got 8 points in that one.
Oh, 8 points against Toronto. Yeah. That was pretty good. Yeah, I remember that. I sure do. That was a lot of fun.
What was that an exciting game for you?
That rate's right up there with obviously scoring 70 goals, or it was a lot of fun to think that not too many people have done that. And playing with Wayne Gretzky at the time, Wayne had done that a couple times. So anytime you match something that the great one does, you got to be pretty happy with that.
That's awesome too. That's still in the LA Kings record.
Yes. Hopefully that'll last a long time. Records are made to be broken, and everybody says they're always excited for the people to break it. When they tell you that, they're lying. No, you don't want anybody to break your record, so hopefully it will last a long time.
Yeah. So I read a funny story that Gretzky told you to do something with your stick that year for good luck. Can you fill me in on your secret?
I sure will. It was a couple games in. We were actually in Winnipeg, and he told me it was like it was our first road trip, so we'd already played 3 games. And he said that he used to take a stick home with him in the daytime, and it was good luck. So I used a new stick every game. I would get my stick ready after the morning skate. I'd take it back on the bus with me. I'd take it to my pregame lunch, and then my pregame nap, I'd put it in bed, and I would sleep with it. I scored 3 goals that night and scored 70 on the season. So needless to say, I carried that stick with me every game.
Didn't you sleep with it as well?
I did. I slept with it in my bed the night or the afternoon of the game. I sure did.
There are only 5 players in NHL history to score 150 points or more in a season. Do you know who the other 4 are?
I sure do. My friend Stevie Yzerman that I told you about, the great one, Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's 5, I thought there's 4, but there's 5. So is it Phil Esposito?
Yep.
The great Phil Esposito. That's right.
You nailed it. So according to CapFriendly.com, you were only getting paid $400,000. Can you imagine what your contract would have been in today's NHL?
I'm thinking I get $400,000 a game. Don't you, bud?
Yeah.
You score 70 goals. Yeah.
Who was on your line the year you scored 70 goals?
I played with Luc Robitaille and Dave Taylor. I killed penalties with Wayne Gretzky. I had 8 shorthanded goals with Wayne, and then I played in the power play also with Wayne. So I had some pretty good line mates that year.
So Luke Robitaille used to have the nickname Lucky Luke for always being in the right spots at the right time. Did you have any good nicknames that the boys used to call you?
Well, the Bob Miller nicknamed me the Pumpernickel. When I scored a goal, I would get all excited and kind of do a dance where I'm waving my arm and stuff. And so he nicknamed me the Pumpernickel every time I scored.
So Gretzky is one of my favorite players of all time. Can you tell me what it's like being in a room and playing with him?
I sure can. He's one of my favorites too, bud. I tell people every day that playing with Wayne was like Christmas Day every day. That's how cool it was, and I truly mean that. It was just every day was so special, and he's going to go down as arguably the greatest player to ever play the game, and to have an opportunity to play with him and hang with him. We used to go have lunch together all the time. We would, every road trip, him and I'd hang out. So I got to hang with the great one for a year and a half. It was pretty special.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Just being friends with Gretzky.
That's right.
Did you bring your stick?
I did a lot of the time that year. I didn't take it out to dinner, but it was at my room waiting for me when I got home. Yeah.
My dad was scouted for the Medicine Hat Tigers, and his scout brought one of my dad's sticks to the Kings vs. Oilers game in 1989, and had Wayne sign the stick to my dad and then handed it around both the Kings dressing room and the Oilers dressing room. Esa Tikkanen, Charlie Hoodie, Dave Taylor, Luke Robitaille, Craig McTavish, Kelly Rudy signed the stick. And this is pretty cool.
Wow.
But I'm not sure, but is this one yours?
I think it is, bud. Absolutely. All right.
Then
That's cool.
they're like all down with the stick and all that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Then
It's all over the place.
Yeah, and that one's Gretzky's.
99. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's probably exciting for my dad.
He's pretty lucky, huh, to get all those. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were selected to the AllStar Game in 1989-1990, but traded from the Kings to New York Rangers the day before the AllStar Game. What was your thoughts on the trade?
I was devastated for the fact that we just talked about. I had an opportunity to play with Wayne every day for a year and a half, and then they had that taken away from me. So I went from, being Christmas Day every day to getting coal in my stocking every day. I was disappointed. It was sad.
How was the AllStar Game?
Well, the AllStar Game was funny because I get traded the night before after the skills competition. So during the AllStar Game, I'm playing for the West, but I'm a member of the team from the East. So I should have went over there because that's the day Marilyn Mew had 4 goals and the East beat us. So I should take credit for that win because I was a member of the East instead of the West.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Man, you got traded at weird times throughout your seasons. Right before the AllStar Game, and then one game into your 3rd season with the New York, you were traded to the Oilers with Steve Rice and Louis DeBrusque from Mark Messier. That's a blockbuster trade. And how was getting traded from the Big Apple to the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, it happened one morning. We just played in Boston that night, first game. I get a call at like 7 in the morning from the coach, and I'm thinking, it was a little early. I'm not even thinking about getting traded. And he calls me up and said, we just traded you to Edmonton for Mark Messier. I was devastated because I would have loved to play with Mark. But like I said, playing in Canada was pretty cool. And so I got to play in Edmonton, which was great. The best part about that is that year in the playoffs, we met the LA Kings, knocked out in 6 games, and they had Gretzky, they had Coffey, they had all ex-Oilers, Yuri Curry over there, and we ended up beating them. So that worked out pretty good.
You came up clutch in the playoffs with the Oilers, posting 5 goals and 13 points in 6 games to defeat your old team, the LA Kings. That must have been exciting for you.
That was, I guess I jumped the gun on you. I answered you before, didn't I? Yeah, that was extra special, obviously, because, you know, when you play for a team for so long and they trade you, you just want to play well against them. And I think I did pretty good when I put those numbers up. So I was pretty thrilled with that.
Another trade was from the Oilers to New Jersey Devils. My dad tells me the Devils were very defensive back then. Was it hard being an offensive player in a defensive system?
You know what? When I get traded there, my second year there, we had Jacques Lemaire, who was with the Montreal Canadiens. So his style of play was a defensive one, but it was more on the defensive side with the defensemen. He wouldn't let them be aggressive. He let the forwards do what we had to do. He was a great coach for us. He was a great coach for me. He taught me how to play defense a little bit better. And, you know, as an offensive player, you think more offense, but he puts you in the right position. So I had no problem adjusting to play a little bit more defense.
You finished your career playing with Chicago and San Jose. What was it like playing for those clubs?
Chicago was really, really fun. We had such a great team there, great players, Chris Chelios, Gary Suter, Jeremy Roenick, Eddie Belfour. We had such a good team, and that city, they just opened up the new United Center, and it's such a hockey city, so playing in Chicago was a lot of fun. Great hockey city, original 6 team, so it was pretty good.
You never got to raise the Stanley Cup during your playing days, but you did when you joined the Kings as an assistant coach. How did it feel to finally make your dream come true?
It was really exciting. There's a big difference between a player and a coach. So obviously I didn't get to experience as a player. I can't imagine how much fun it would have been. It was great as a coach. I still got to do it, but it would have been much better as a player.
Yeah. Did your dad really take the Stanley Cup for a ride in a canoe at Guildford, Ontario?
It was actually me. My dad had built me a canoe, and I took the Stanley Cup out in the lake and held it up over my head, and they took pictures of it, so it was pretty cool. I also had it in a deer stand with my bow and arrow sitting beside me, so it's seen some pretty cool places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at your career and stats, I can't believe you're not in the Hall of Fame. I sure hope you get in sometime.
See, I knew you were a smart kid, see? You're smart, and I appreciate that, bud.
So now it's time for some fun. I'm going to ask you a few more questions that I like to ask all my guests. Out of the teams you played for, what team did you enjoy playing on the most?
I would have to go either LA with Gretzky or Chicago. But New Jersey was fun too because we did well. Every team is awesome, but LA with Gretzky would be the number one.
Kind of obviously.
Yeah, I would think, huh?
Yeah.
I raved about him the whole night, telling how good he was and this and that. It pretty much has to be my favorite team to play with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still follow any of your old teams?
I follow them all. I watch hockey. I got hockey on right now. I always cheer for the teams I used to play for, or certain guys. I love Sidney Crosby. I cheer for Sid all the time. I love watching good hockey, and there's a lot of good players right now to watch.
Definitely. What team did you play on that had the most exciting fans?
Wow. When Gretzky came to LA, it was pretty special. The fans in New York, the fans in Chicago are as loud as anywhere. When playoff time comes rolling around, every building gets loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over your years in the league, who was one of the funniest guys in the dressing room?
Well, I was the one that causes the most trouble in the dressing room, so I have to go with myself on that one. Yeah.
Do you think hockey is better now or better during the time that you played?
I think the kids are bigger, faster, stronger now, but they're not any more talented than we were. So it's a different game, but I think they try to make it better all the time. But players don't have any more hockey sense now than we did. I think our game, my year from 82 to 95 was as good as any.
If you could create an all-star lineup, 3 forwards, 2 defense, and 1 goalie, that could be playing now or in the past, who would it be?
Well, it would definitely be Gretzky and Lemieux, and I would probably have to go, and that's tough, but I'd probably have to go with Sid. But oh my God, how do you not put Alex in there? I'd go with Bobby Orr on defense. With maybe, See, they're all coming from pretty much from my time. Paul Coffey would be good for going offense, but you got Bobby Orr. I'm missing the defenseman, so you know what? We're going to go power forward. We're going to maybe put Brett Hall out there with those guys. Can we go 4 forwards and 1 D?
If you want.
Power play. All right, bud, that's what we'll do. It's so tough to pick 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? If I'm picking it, and it's going to be a team, then I think I'm going to play with Gretzky and Lemieux. I'll center those 2 guys. How about that?
Sure.
That'd be fun, huh? And how do you leave Connor McDavid out? No one in the world, what's it called from Colorado?
McKinnon?
McKinnon, he is so good too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McDavid's actually my favorite player now.
Oh, but he's so good. I watched him the other night at 5 points. He's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your goalie?
My goalie, Martin Brodeur. I love Jonathan Quick. When the LA Kings won the Cup, Jonathan Quick was spectacular. Marty Brodeur was the best when I played, and now there's so many big goalies now, but Jonathan Quick is one of the best. There's some good goalies now too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, big guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pull any pranks on Gretzky, or do you have any funny stories that you can share on Gretzky?
I don't have one on Gretzky, but I have one I'll share with you. When I was in training camp, it was 12:30 in the morning, and we got 2 young kids rooming beside me. So I decided in the middle of the night, the sliding glass door was open. I was going to go over and scare them. And so I jump over the balcony, crawl into my hands and knees, and I go over, and the one bed's empty. And there's 2 in the one bed. And I go, oh. So I get to the foot of the bed, I scream, and 2 elderly ladies jump up screaming. the two kids that day got cut from our team and got sent home, and they resold the room to two elderly ladies. And I didn't know that, and I scared the bejesus out of them. So, yeah. So that was as good as it gets right there, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. If you could steal any player's skill, what would it be and from who?
Anybody's skill?
Yeah,
McDavid's speed. What do you think?
definitely.
And then add Muriel's hands to that, and then add Gretzky's passing ability, and then you shoot the puck as hard as, say, Ovechkin or Brett Hall. I think I'd be a pretty good player, don't you?
I think so too.
I think I'd score 80 goals a year, or maybe 90 like Gretzky.
Or maybe Hall of Fame first year.
Maybe, yes. I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Goal scoring ability like Bernie Nicholls then. What about that instead of Ovi?
Yeah, I agree. That'd be alright, huh?
70 goals is more than Ovi ever got, so
That's right. So, why not me?
why not?
Why not?
Do you have a favorite hockey memory that stands out to you?
You know what? Probably playing in the NHL. Scoring my 70th goal was really special. You talked about Gretzky. We played Game 7 in LA against the Oilers, and we ended up beating them. And I had 2 goals and 2 assists in Game 7. So that would be a game that would go down for me as a pretty good game.
Definitely. What was the biggest goal you ever scored?
Well, one of those ones in Game 7 would be pretty big. My 70th goal would be pretty big too.
You remember the play on that?
I do. It was an empty netter. I had to hold the net, and I fanned on it. I just whipped it, and I went, oh my God, and went down the far end, and they turned it over, and I got it at center ice, and I just slap shot it in the middle of the net.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you miss playing competitive hockey?
I don't miss it anymore. I still love playing hockey. I still do a lot of charity games, and I still love playing. I think the competitive stuff would be, but when we do play, I still get competitive.
That's me.
Yeah,
I think maybe I'm too competitive.
there you go, bud. You can never be too competitive. That's okay. You keep that competitive edge.
Do you still golf a lot? And what is your handicap?
I golf all the time, and my handicap are 1.
Nice. So what are you up to nowadays?
I do a lot of hunting in the fall, and then I play golf all summer and any day I can. And then still do a lot of charity hockey stuff. I do fantasy camps for the Kings if we ever get back to things. Still do a lot of charity stuff. Still play a lot of hockey and a lot of golf and do a lot of hunting.
You are known to always be having fun and smiling on the ice. Do you have any advice that you could give myself or any other young players on their hockey careers?
Absolutely, bud. You play and have fun. Work hard, but you got to have fun at it. And that's why I got in trouble a lot of times because people see me smiling out there. But I just tell them, hey, I'm just playing a game. I'm still a kid. It's fun. And I'm going to have fun as long as I play it. But the deal is work hard at it and have fun with it.
Great advice.
All right, buddy.
There we have it. One of the best to ever play the game and 3-time NHL AllStar Bernie Nicholls. I want to thank you so much for taking this time with me on Enjoy the Grind. This is a lot of fun, and I'm very happy to have met you. Thanks again, Bernie.
But I appreciate you having me. That was a lot of fun for me, too. Good job.
Thank you. And for those watching, please like and subscribe.
Good job, bud.